Okay guys, today I'm going to show you how to do this final bit of shingling on the ridge of a shed or playhouse. So there's no ridge vent here. This is just shingling over the ridge itself. I want to point out that I have used the bottom half of the shingles in this last area here so that I have 2 layers of shingles all the way down the whole length of the roof for extra protection. So I cut the top off of this and then just put the bottom on so that you are shingled properly all the way up to the top. And then on this side, so this is kind of weird. This is actually a deck playhouse on this half of the roof. So on this side, I have 2 layers of shingles here. So I use the top half of a shingle underneath the bottom half, the appearance side. So this is architectural shingles. So they have this 2-layer thick 3D look to them. So they're just a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher for strong winds, and they'll last longer. So now that I've done all of the shingling up to the ridge line, I just have the tar paper showing here. And I'm going to, I think, do a double layer of shingles. My strongest winds come in this direction, so I think I'm going to lay the first layer in this direction, and then the second layer going this way to protect it from getting any wind shear underneath. So I decided I'm going to use the top half of this shingle all along the ridge as the bottom layer. So I'm going to cut just above that white line. Let me do that and I'll show you what I mean. So I cut the shingle lengthwise in half, just above that white line. I'm using just a utility knife or a box knife. I did it above the line because this is where the double layer starts. So it's just avoiding that glued layer there. Okay, so I put the first piece on across the ridge here. And as you can see, I used a full sheet. It's about 80 or 39 inches, I think. So I just want to make sure you know, I put the first nail in here and then tightly made sure it was stretched across the ridge, did this nail, then moved back to this part, did this nail, again, make sure everything's nice and tight, and just kept moving across to the opposite sides so that I could keep things really nice and tight. These nails are probably spaced about 7 or 8 inches apart. I want to make sure this shingle doesn't budge if any strong winds are going to come across here. Okay, I have completed the first layer across the ridge line here, and I just want to make sure you know that I have butted the pieces up against each other. They do not overlap, so they're just right up against the next piece. No overlapping done at all. And then we'll do something completely different for the top layer of this ridge line. I'll show you that next. Okay guys, I am about to put the very last shingle on this ridge line, so I wanted to explain to you what I have been doing all along. I ended up cutting my shingle, so 1 full shingle, into about 10.5 long lengths. So I got about 3 out of each shingle, and I picked that length just because it left a couple inches of a reveal on this side and on the other side of the roof. So I thought that would look pretty nice along the ridge line. Typically when you make your own ridgeline shingles, you would use the full shingle and you would put nails across the white line like you would just moving up the roof. But because I'm using architectural shingles, they are double thick on this side and they weren't curving over the ridge line properly. They were kind of cracking, and I thought it would just look really bad and lumpy if I left this side on. So I cut my shingles along that line there. So if you can see, there is a second layer right there. So I just cut that off and I kept this top layer. after cutting them in half, I peeled off this layer of the plastic, and that was just so that I could apply roofing cement. It's basically like a gooey tar that acts like an adhesive all along here. So I applied the adhesive in a C shape all along the top and edge of the shingle that I cut to use for my ridge line. And then the nails would go on either side here. So I didn't worry about removing this. So I would flip these over. And for this piece, so I've got the nail here, that piece of adhesive, or the piece of the plastic that is on the back of the shingle that I left is underneath this part here. And the adhesive is all along here, holding it down. So that gives the whole piece of shingle that I attach all along, it is stuck to the roof all along the edges. So it makes it nice and secure. And of course I showed you a little bit ago how I've got a full shingle, or actually it's cut also, but it runs all the way across here. So the ridgeline has 2 layers of shingles at least everywhere you go. And then, you know, in certain spots it actually has a couple or 3 layers. But I'm going to put the last shingle on and show you how that works and how you hide the nails for this last piece. So let me get it ready. Okay, so I'm going to use this one as the last shingle. I have applied the cement all around all 4 edges for this one because it can take wind shear from both sides, so, or all 4 sides. So I thought I'm going to make it extra strong and extra durable. So it's got the cement all around, a nice bead of cement. And I also have removed that extra bit of plastic. So there was plastic here and plastic here on this shingle, and I removed it on both. And it's really easy. It just peels off, kind of like peeling off a sticker. So it's not a hard task to do at all. So I am laying this up against the edge of the row of shingles beneath it, so it looks nice and pretty. And it's covering up the nail I was just showing you a bit ago. So I'm still going to use 2 of these roofing nails, but I'm going to remove the plastic piece this time. So I just popped the plastic piece off. I am going to stick this on the end again. And then I have a trick I'll show you for covering up that nail head so that it's not visible. Okay, so I've nailed this last shingle in place. It is stuck down all around with that cement that I applied to the back. So I've got a nail head there and a nail head here. And now all I'm going to do is dab on just a little bit of this cement to cover that nail head. Okay, so I've got that little dab of cement, and if I just want to hide that, I mean from the ground you probably wouldn't be able to see that anyway, but if you really want to hide it and make it completely hidden, on top of that cement you can pour some of the shingle particles that are in the bag of shingles. While I've been cutting my shingles up, these have been falling off onto my board that I'm using. So just scoop them up and you just put them on like sprinkles, kind of. So I've got a bunch of my fingers here. I'm just going to press them on. And from the ground, or even up here, you can't really see where that spot is anymore, but it's right there. Okay, so that's the trick. That's how you hide the nails for that last shingle.